have proper balance sheet, how to do a proper balance sheet, we can teach them that. This also basically is a proof point to your point that, we play to our strengths. We are a financial institution. We know how to do financial reporting, how to do financial management, and that is what we go and teach to our stakeholders externally as well.
Thank you, Appa. The last question that I have, and then I will open the floor to Tawfiq Bhai, that what needs to change so that your work can be more impactful, more useful for countries like Bangladesh?
Well, first of all, I think the work this private sector is doing at this moment in different developing, not in terms of a NGO approach, but non-NGO approach, the work is being done commercially, that has to be appreciated and recognized by the government. The biggest frustration we have is we are significantly contributing to the agricultural economy of Bangladesh through dairy, through artificial insemination. Last year we have done about 16,29,000 artificial insemination in the country, which is almost parallel to the government, what the government has done. But the problem is when the dairy policy or livestock policy is being developed, our voices are not being heard. So that is a big, thing that I wanted to highlight, that has to be changed, because if we want a sustainable country, sustainable development, economic development, then both private and government partnership has to be there. Very recently, from last year, we are working with Bangladesh Porjoton Corporation. So this is a government entity, but we are supporting them in promoting healthy, hygienic, halal food. They have a new campaign. Also, we are doing street demonstration, like Bailey Road, that the mini stalls they have at the Bailey Road area, at the Bonani, Gulshan areas. BPC has taken an initiative to teach them on preparing hygienic food. So BRAC Chicken is the partner on doing that. So we are trying to collaborate with the government, but we are not included in this process. So that is the biggest frustration we have. I think that should be changed.
Thank you. So let's open up the floor for question. If you have, please raise your hand.
Do you feel that there's a convergence happening between private sector and social sector now? I mean, I'm seeing that USAID is now giving aids to companies like
USAID is giving
the frozen food company, Golden Harvest, yeah. Golden Harvest for private sector engagement. Then also, I guess, example of BRAC, but not just BRAC, a lot of the social NGOs also are thinking about coming up with different kind of enterprise models. So looking ahead, 5 to 10 years from now, how do you think the world would look like? I mean, Morshad Bhai referred to this idea about this being part of the mainstream strategy of the private sector organizations. I mean, do you see, say, Standard Chartered coming up with innovative education loan product that can be used by the mass, or any kind of financing product that actually going to be a big cash cow for the organization?
Listening to the Arong story, I think what really struck me again is the ability of Arong to, say, take new technologies, and say, in this case, MIT cold chilling, and bring it to Bangladesh. So I think there are certainly many ways for businesses or business to engage. But I think that one of the things that maybe for businesses to understand more is that, as I mentioned in some of the other previous panel discussions, is that a lot of these challenges, whether it's climate change, whether it's challenges in agricultural productivity or in healthcare, they're commercial opportunities. And so while CSR is very important, I think I'd like to hear your thoughts on how can we make or help commercial businesses to help us meet sustainable development goals, but see the commercial opportunities in doing that, and not just CSR.
Thank you. I'll take the question.
Okay.
The question was about businesses are inherently short-term. Resilience is inherently long-term. how this marriage can happen. The second
Convergence.
question about this is convergence.
Right.
Businesses are becoming developing existing developers, businesses. Is it happening, and if that happens, is it good? How this can be accelerated? And the third question was
I'll just address the first one briefly. So basically, what is important is for the business organization to be sustainable, to be profitable in the long term. So if a business organization has the right model and has taken into account various external and internal factors which will make it profitable in the long run, and actually we were discussing over lunch how profit was, and in many cases even now, taken as a dirty word. Profit making is dirty, but actually if there is no profit, all these economic development doesn't exist. So at the end of the day, the business itself has to sustain over the long term. Standard Chartered has been there for almost 200 years in many markets, and that's why we can talk about being in a market for the long run. That's where we can think about going into projects which have been running for 15, 16 years. So only when the organization sustains, we can think about long-term businesses. So the organization has to be a very good and effective profit-making organization. That's just to address you. I totally agree with Asif Bhai that yes, convergence is happening. Otherwise, you wouldn't see Standard Chartered doing so much of sustainability and community initiatives. But at the same time, we hear about regulators dictating what percentage of profits need to be invested back in community initiatives. But at the same time, I don't think all organizations define community initiatives or CSR initiatives or sustainability initiatives in a way that actually would help in the long term. Philanthropy is just, I would say, for that particular day, for that particular month maybe, but not long term at all. So if we look at philanthropy and count that as part of the funds spent in CSR or sustainability, that really doesn't work. So I think overall, when we look at convergence, we see that a social organization like BRAC or development organization like BRAC is getting into models where they are earning for the people in the communities. On the other hand, we who are totally a commercial organization going the other way. It has to work that way. We have to find a middle ground and work together. Otherwise, long-term development and resilience, I don't think will be possible. And to if the vice question, you did mention that while CSR is good, how can we help businesses be more profit-making and innovative? Right? That was your mainstream.
How do we know the changes or the later in Standard Chartered and even BRAC as well? I think the most important question is how can we be more effective
Right.
in convincing large businesses to see some of these sustainable development goal challenges as commercial opportunities as well as CSR?
Absolutely, in the sense that there are, say, the goal number 4, quality education for all. We need a lot of organizations to come in and impart education which is of a global standard and at the same time make money out of it. It should not be a charity. So there are opportunities, and that is where organizations like us are trying to raise awareness about the SDGs, and we are trying to engage with different parts of the society and the business community so that whatever fits whoever's model can take a part of it. There's so much to do. The corporate sector alone cannot do it, and I think even the government, the public sector also cannot do it by themselves. We need to help them because there's a massive need for funds, and the government itself will not have enough funds to achieve what they need to achieve within the time frame given. So I think all of us need to play our part. So a commercial organization staying in our own ambit of operations, we can still find areas where we can adopt some of the SDGs and do a practical model of fulfilling that.
Sorry, just want to make one quick comment on the education, related education. One of the things that education is often seen as some kind of social objective or social good, but actually it's the return on human capital. And if we can increase the return on human capital and people are better trained, vocational training, basic education, they will generate more economic return and it's more profitable. So sometimes we have this kind of mismatch between social good and objectives and commercially attractive
Absolutely agree. I think it's a matter of mindset. It's a matter of understanding where we need to hit the nail on the head, basically. And as you said, there are institutions who are imparting quality education, but they are also expensive. At the same time, if we have institutions who are giving vocational training, they will not be expensive. But at the same time, the society needs all of it. This also kind of addresses the question about the timeline. Education is long term. For the society to develop and be resilient and stay resilient, we need these long-term changes and we have to invest.
Thank you. Wait, the same question.
I totally agree with your advice. Basically, the first question was long-term versus short-term investment, how you're looking into it. If you are not in the short run, if you're not social investment, I would say, these are long-term. Like long-term investment for your future sustainability. So you need to make profit at this moment to remain sustainable. Okay.
I completely agree with you, but are there enough players then that are able to do that, that are concerned with this?
Well, there can be magnitude, like how much you want to do now, how much you want to do later. So there can be different scale. The bigger organization can do it in big scale. Even the smaller organization, even the local shopkeepers, they can also do in a smaller scale. Just plant 2-3 different trees and teach some kids that, okay, you take care of this tree. So these kind of things can be done, in fact, at this moment in different scale. So these are for longer term investment, and you have to be sustainable at present by doing your regular business activities. So Asif bhai is a very straightforward answer that Video Appa has given. Yes, there has to be a hand-in-hand approach, and each development should not be some people's job, it should be everybody's job. It should be every citizen's responsibility. So once the business and the development sector ties their knots, then it is possible. And if the question was...
I think we've already covered quite a lot of what we're talking about.
So it's basically the same. Okay.
I just want to highlight one point, is that there is this false dichotomy that is going on for a long time. That business is one evil thing, they only are about short-term making money now and so on. But then, where all these people are employed in a business, that's the first start of sustainability. If you don't have a decent job, you're nowhere. So that business which is evil and short-term and earning money are also paying the money to the staffs and the people who are involved so that they can sustain. This is again a artificial differentiation. Every business in their own area is contributing. What is not happening is that if the regulatory infrastructure is not working, if the market is not functioning as it should be, then you created opportunity for super profit, and you created opportunity for irregular activities that harms the environment and so on and so forth. So that's really a governance issue, and this is not really if the governance is bad, in that atmosphere probably it is difficult for any business to sustain doing only good.
Can I give a small example, just quick? As we are talking about this, he was talking about the government regulations. I just wanted to focus on the dairy sector. Bangladesh, the fodder price, green grass is not very widely available in Bangladesh. We have scarcity of land. So dairy fodder prices, feed prices are one of the highest in the world in Bangladesh. So a few days back, there was a representative from Pakistan Dairy Development Board. We were discussing some issues there, and he was mentioning that in their country, 1 kg of fodder, green fodder, is about 1 ton of green fodder is for $4, which is only 320 taka approximately. That's 1 ton. In our case, is 15-16 taka per kg minimum. So Bangladesh has one of the high, and it doesn't cost that much. So this feed industry is not regulated by anybody. So there are scope for abnormal profitability there. Whereas this is, the entire dairy industry is suffering. So there is no government regulation. So this is one of the things that I just, practical example of Moshed was explaining.
You also mentioned this, that really government has a role. If government was like, while if you look at the 7th five-year plan, there is a whole section in the agricultural chapter on dairy development. Now, unfortunately, this whole chapter is written from the government perspective. The existing challenges and prospect of the dairy industry player were not considered. The problem and the reality of the farmers are not considered.
Yeah, we were invited for one formal session only.
Oh, that I know. I was involved from the other side at that time, but
we didn't know what to listen.
but then basically. There is this still false dichotomy between government is the holiest of the entity who only do good, and then NGO who do good, and some good, some bad, and you have private sector who are all evil. So I think this division needs to go, and we need to find out. And as Tawfiq Bhai said, the development has to be everybody's business at the end of the day. Appa, if you want to add.
Yes, there was one point that Asif was asking about innovation. What innovation can a bank bring? So I'll just touch upon two examples. So I think in the banking industry, one of the recent and very good innovation was the mobile money or the mobile wallet, which has actually gone to the grassroots. So it is the use of technology, use of financing mechanisms, and actually reaching the masses. So you all know about that. The second example that we do that I can share is, for example, I mentioned the ESRM framework, Environmental and Social Risk Management Framework. So we finance, we have clients in the ship breaking sector, which is now called ship recycling. It is known globally as one of the hazardous sectors because it might involve poisonous gases, other damages to environment, and also to the labor and their welfare. Accidents have been known to happen, especially in Bangladesh. But we work with clients only who are willing to upgrade their standards, both for safety of staff and environment. We have a global team who come in for inspection. We actually teach them as to how to upgrade their models. We help them, adopt international practices in this sector, and then the global team certifies them as to be complying with the international standards of safety. Only then we finance them as our client. So this is an example where we as a bank have tried to instill innovative processes into our customers' side.
Yeah, I have already shown the placard, which basically says "Get out." So, yeah, thank you for the participation and hearing our distinguished panel out on a topic which is really very topical, as they call it, and is being discussed everywhere. Of course, within this short period of time, I think we could have done much more. If we had a little bit of time in a different occasion, I think we do that. So, with thanking the distinguished panel, Tawfiq Bhai and Appa, on really sharing their insights, and thank you for joining in and tuning into this discussion. Thank you.